This week we have a little bit of a mid-year check. If you listen back in December of 2025, I did a 2026 forecast with Sheena and Crystal of the Lifestyle of the Weird and Interesting podcast. And so it was requested that we do sort of a mid-year check just to see kind of from our perspectives how we've been experiencing the last 6 months or so and what we see happening for the next 6 months. So it's always interesting to do these and to listen back to the prediction, I guess, forecast. That's the word I'm looking for, forecast podcast. Just to see how things actually manifest, how they actually feel. So that's basically what this episode was. We're just kind of checking with each other on what's been going on, how we've been feeling, the political or rather global things that have been events that have been happening aligning with the astrology. We don't get like too deep into it, but it's really been fascinating. 2026 politics, I guess, aligning with astrology, which it kind of always does. And I don't know why it's not necessarily surprising, but I think when you're tracking it and watching it, it's kind of like, whoa, you watch it happening in real life. You're like, wow, it's crazy how aligned astrology is. But I'm not going to take up too much time here. If you want to join the Astro Design Collective, which is a monthly membership space, we just started going through the gene keys. Inside there, it is a Telegram group. You can grab a Destiny reading, which is a pre-recorded reading to really touch on Pluto, the nodes, your incarnation cross, to really kind of talk about destiny, karma, purpose within your astrology human design charts. You can book a full-on reading. That is a one-on-one session to really dive into anything really prominent in your chart. We will, of course, go over the aspects, karma, purpose. I feel like a lot of people are really looking for support right now, especially as we have these really big and intense transits. So that is definitely a part of it. And I think that's all the housekeeping I have for you. Not too much this week. I feel like I'm going to stop record and be like, oh, I should have talked about that. But you know what? There will be next time. So all of the information you need is down in the show notes. You can go follow Sheena and Crystal, the Lifestyle of the Weird and Interesting podcast. Please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Last week, I dropped a little giveaway. If you didn't catch it, you can post a review for the podcast, wherever, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Take a screenshot, send it to info@rochellechristtian.com. The email will be down below, and you'll be entered to win a free Destiny reading. That giveaway ends next Thursday, so the last Thursday of May, and then I will draw a reading, and if you win, I will contact you for more information. So join that giveaway, and other than that, enjoy the podcast. Again, rate, review, subscribe, all of the things. Let us know what you thought. If you want to have, or if you have any shares around how this year has felt for you, please let us know. I love to hear from you. So without further ado, here is the episode.
Hello, friends and listeners. Welcome back to an episode of the Lifestyle of the Weird and Interesting podcast. We're so excited to be here today. We've got Rochelle back with us. And if you listen to episode 1 of season 4, you will remember that she helped us go through all of the transits for this year. And today will be another episode like episode 1. We're doing a mid-year check-in, and this is something that was actually requested by some of our listeners. So they want to have a little bit of reflection about some of the things that have happened so far this year, and then talk a little bit about maybe some of the things that we anticipate happening in the second part of the year. So welcome back, Rochelle. We love having you here. It's super fun to chat with you and to get your perspective on these things because you see them differently.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. I know that year episode, that was so much fun to record and talk about, and it's always so interesting to see like what actually happens. When you're like kind of looking forward and predicting it, and then you're like, oh wow.
Look at that. For sure. I know. I always think that when we do these kinds of episodes that I look at something, I'm like, how on earth could you like decipher what that is supposed to mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think there's such a range of potentials when it comes to astrology too, right? And so it's like, I think like on the like political stage, the astrology has been pretty accurate for this year. And I think like, on the global level, it usually is, right? But it's always like a range. Like, during 2020, there were like kind of like, what's it going to happen? And then all of a sudden, like the world shut down. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that was on anybody's like bingo card that year though.
Yeah.
Like to have everything shut down like that was pretty wild. So
Right. It was. Yeah.
this year is interesting though. I kind of want to look at like the parallels between 2020 and this year. I haven't done it yet, but I do think it might be an interesting exploration because we're looking at, I mean, currently we're recording this middle of May, and it's one of those things that I'm like, we're like very seriously looking down the barrel of a potential crisis.
Mm.
So it's a very interesting situation to be sitting at the edge of, to see like what do we think this is going to spin out into. And I keep trying very much to, like, I very, like, people who listen to this podcast will know that I tend to try really hard to just anchor in, like, how can I stay grounded, how can I stay in a place like where I'm operating from my best self and not overthinking things or complicating things or thinking about like worst case scenarios all the time, because that's a really easy thing to do when the rest of the world kind of seems like it's on fire, right? So it's tricky when you're in these moments and you see those things, and like we have like an awareness of the things that are going on around us. So how do we come back into a place where I'm like, okay, I'm actually standing on solid ground, and I'm anchored into myself, and then how do I operate from that place? And I think that's such a tricky thing. So I would love to know, for you, like, what are some of the things that you've seen over the last 5.5 months for 2026?
As far as just like globally, like, or in, like for
Yeah.
me personally.
Yeah, both actually.
Yeah. So I don't really follow the news. And I think that's one of my own ways of staying grounded in my body. Cause I know that if I was watching the news 24/7, I would be so ungrounded. I'd be like, oh my gosh. So the news that I do get is just from astrology podcasts, like the astrology podcast, right? I like to listen to their reflections, but I mean, like, obviously there's some, whether you watch the news or not, you can't not know what's happening, right? Just like looking around. An interesting conversation that I've been having a lot too is just around like the coaching, astrology, like spiritual industry, and like how that has been really shifting. I think it's been more than this year, but I think we're really feeling it this year. There's so many people that it's just, they're not making money in the same way, right? Like they're not filling up programs. Like I launched Holistic Human Design Academy for myself, which is like a program I've been running since I think 2023, and just like crickets. And it can be so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I mean, obviously frustrating, but it's like, what, right? Like, I just think that there's such a shift of attention. And it's interesting with Uranus now officially in Gemini. A lot of people will say that, I've heard a lot of astrologers have this conversation around people not wanting to be online anymore. And in my mind, I'm like, well, Uranus in Gemini feels very social media-esque, right? Like that would feel like, but I do think something is changing. And I don't know that it's that they're completely going away from that, but I think that we genuinely want actual connection now. And social media has become this huge AI thing, right? It's like, I don't know what is real of what I'm watching. I don't know. So many posts people put, it's very, you can feel it when it's AI, right? And I think there's a shift of people feel your energy now so strongly, right? Before, like, your words will always matter, because I do believe, and this is like Uranus and Gemini to me too, where it's like we manifest through the words that we speak. I think words hold frequency, so they matter. And also, people aren't purchasing based on words anymore. They have to like fully trust you, and they have to feel you, right? And so I think that that's just shifted a lot. And whether it's this little triangle that's happening, or if it's Uranus and Gemini, but there's something there that's shifting. And also, we're in like a global, what's the word I'm looking for? Not panic, but crisis, right? So I think people are just not spending money. They're just being very intentional about what they're spending money on right now. And things like, gas prices are going up, or food prices are going up. So it's like those obviously take priority over something like spiritual coaching, right? Which I do think is still so needed, because in order, like you said, Sheena, in order to like stay grounded and like in your own energy, we have to have that connection. But I don't know if that answers your question. That's like
Yeah.
definitely something I've noticed, like industry wise, that I feel like is really being impacted by the astrology. But I think that it is asking us to pivot and shift and do something new. This is Aquarius, right? Like we're dismantling the system, that it doesn't work anymore. So it's like, okay, I think that we're still trying to do it in one way when we're being called into another way, but it's like we don't know what the other way is yet because nobody's done it yet. And so we're kind of like forerunners in this thing that we quite don't know what we're doing. And so it feels sticky, right? It's kind of like,
yeah,
what's going to work and what's not.
Yeah, I think that that's a really interesting point. And this is something that I've noticed. I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. I feel like a lot of times when we have like a really big movement that's coming through like society and through, I really love the way that you talked about like how our words are frequency. I feel like you can kind of feel a pulse of something that's like on the edge and starting to roll out. And there's like a window of overlap between where you have like an old system and where the new system is still kind of coming online. And I think that that's really like, I think 2025 was a little bit of this, but 2026 really, really hits me as being that space, right? Like a little bit more of that overlap period. And I think the thing that's really tricky is that we're trying so hard. I shouldn't say we, because I'm not doing this, but a lot of the people in the space of like coaching and spiritual work and astrology and things like that, like we're all in that community trying to create something new, but the only structure that we have is the old one of capitalism, right? And that's not necessarily going to be something that supports us as we move forward. And so like it's almost like we know that our tire's flat and we're just driving as far as we can on this flat tire until we can change it and really see like, okay, what is the problem? Like maybe we don't even realize that the tire's flat yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And also, I think that with next year, being 2027, the year of the shift, like 2026 really is like a bridge year, kind of between that old world and old systems and this new way of whatever it's going to look like. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like we're just kind of like scrambling in the dark. And so it's such a year that like it's so important to get our energy right. I've been really focusing on that just in my own personal like practice and journey in life. It's just like how can I be so good in my own energy and I've been thinking about it too, like, authenticity obviously is I think a word that we throw around, but something that's been coming to me is like, I do feel like our purpose here is just to be authentic, which sounds easy, but it's not because we have so much conditioning and life and, all this kind of stuff. But it's like, how can we, when you like look around your life and the things that you want to call in and where you want to go, and then you look around and it is this mirror of where you're actually at. And so I've really been sitting with that. So my 40th birthday is on Friday. And so that in itself is just like, I think I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, wow, 40. And now I have, God willing, 40 more years, left. And then I'm like, so I don't know. It's just this really big like moment, I think, in my life. Maybe it's like that, like, what is it called? The dark moon, right? Like right before the new moon, that phase of just like culmination and something's brewing. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, congrats and welcome to your 40s.
Yes, happy early birthday.
Thanks.
It's pretty great over here, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah, last
it's
year
actually awesome.
Yeah, when I turned 39, I felt a lot of like, oh my gosh, my last year, my 30s. And then as I've been getting closer to 40, I'm like, I actually feel really excited for it. The only thing I've noticed, like what we kind of said offline, is I've noticed like some health things come up. Then I'm like, I don't know if it's just because I'm in my Pluto square, my Neptune square, coming up to my Uranus opposition. And so it's like that Neptune square is hitting my 6th house. So that would make sense, right? That it's bringing that stuff up. But yeah, other than that, I'm like, I'm actually really excited because it's like, I just feel like it's a new chapter.
Yeah, it's definitely like a brand new chapter. And the cool thing about it too is like even with like I've also had some health stuff that's come up in the last couple years. And even with that, I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like when we hit this point in our life, we kind of get given the gift of returning to who we were at like 15, 16. Mm-hmm. Except this time I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love her so hard. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna love the crap out of like getting to be this really weird version of myself. And now I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. Like I get to just be weird and it's awesome. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I love that. I was just doing my like so my birthday reflection podcast episode is also my 300th episode. And I was like, kind of cool that worked out that way.
Yeah.
But like that's what I was thinking. I was like, I think about all these versions of myself, right? And in the moment, I really didn't like who I was at certain points in my life, like people pleasing or avoidance or like all those different things. But now I'm like kind of like that. I can look back and be like, wow, like I actually love her so much. She was trying so hard, like she was just trying to like exist in the best way that she knew possible, and it's gotten me here. And I think that I don't know. And especially like in this, work of just like healing and personal development stuff, it's like I can watch myself. I witness myself so much when I fall into those patterns, and I can just like pause. We get to choose something different. We don't have to be like that, And so it is a really cool place to be, and whether it's really cool. Yeah. And it's, midlife transits, but it's also like collectively the transits that are happening are just so crazy.
Yeah, they are. We've got a lot going on too. I mean, we've had a couple of major things. Like we had Chiron go direct, right, in Aries, like right at the beginning of the year. And then like straight into the like Sun, Mars, Venus conjunction, which was right that first week of January. So it just kind of like set everything off in a really weird spot. And then we had like Neptune station directed Aries 0, which is a big deal and doesn't happen very often. And then moving like on through a lot of these, like there's been some pretty major stuff that, we had like the Saturn Neptune conjunction.
Yeah.
Had like a whole bunch of other stuff has already happened. And I remember thinking like at the beginning of the year, I was looking through some of this and I was like, this seems, I don't know, it just seems like like a continual launch pad in a way, right? Like the whole year, everything that was coming up just felt like, okay, now we're going to jump off at this point, and now we're going to jump off at this point. It's like we're just constantly jumping every like moment of this year. It's very weird.
Yeah. It's like the Fool energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Jump off the cliff.
Yeah, like the net's there. Like you don't know that. Yeah, it just feels crazy.
Even going back to 2020, right? Actually, I think it was 2019, December 2019, when we had that Saturn Pluto conjunction. Yeah. And I mean, like we're still in that story, right? Until we hit the next Saturn Pluto conjunction. And I don't even know what that's going to be. I guess 30 something years.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we're still in that story, right? So all like specifically like Saturn Pluto stuff is like telling that story. And Saturn, it was a sextile, right, when it was like conjunct Neptune, I think. So then we brought that into the story. I'm trying to see now in my little book here, because it was February, right? It was February when we had the Saturn Neptune conjunction. I think it was February 20th. Yeah.
I'm
at 0 degrees.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, my dad's calling me. I'm not sure why.
Oh, it's all good. No worries. You can take a break if you need to.
It's okay. We'll see. I don't know if he texted me or not, but I'm trying to see when then the exact sextile was. My son, can I take a shower? Yes.
Yes, please do. Right.
Yes. Get clean.
That's so funny. It's just real life,
Yeah. Well, I guess the sextile wasn't until March. So it was at 5 degrees when Pluto was at 5 degrees. I don't know why I thought. I mean, they were still like loosely sextile, but I thought the direct sextile was a little bit earlier than that. But yeah. So but that like it's just been interesting with that, everything that's been happening there. And like I said, I don't really follow like politics too much, but every time I listen to the astrology podcast or anyone who's like kind of doing a reflection, I'm like, it just seems like these events are like on par to the astrology. And like when I look at stuff like that, I'm like, you can't, it's so,
you can't make it up.
Yeah. I know.
It's wild. It's so funny to me because it's like, for me, like seeing those things, I always feel like a little bit that I'm just like, no way. Like,
yeah,
when it happens, I'm like, how on earth does stuff like that happen? It's just really funny.
Yeah. But it has felt like on a personal level very different, right? And it would, because we all have those, we have our unique charts layered on the transits are so different, right? It's the way that like even like Aries season, right? April was just like boom boom boom, and I didn't feel it like, I don't know. I guess I think when we were doing the forecast for the year, in my mind, I was just thinking like emotional turmoil, like it's gonna be crazy. Just like it felt fast for sure, but like I didn't feel super ungrounded, right? It was just kind of like, huh, okay, this is interesting energy. Like just let's keep going.
Expected. Right? Yeah, honestly, like I thought Aries season was going to be a lot harder. So that's where, like, the only thing that I have in Aries is my Black Moon Lilith. And so I was just like, oh, like, I'm ready. Let's go. Like, I'll fight a bear. Like, what do I got to do? Like, I was just like thinking that's what it was going to be. And honestly, like, personally, it was a very strange experience because I think for most of the last like 6 weeks, the theme that has been coming up the most for me personally has been like self-doubt. I've been wrestling in that space so much. And before we started recording, I was kind of telling you guys like last week was super hard for me. I had a day where like I just totally like had to like have a meltdown and just let it all go because I literally could not hold it anymore. And it's I don't know, I haven't felt that overwhelmed in a really long time. So it was just a different kind of energy. And I think some of it is because all of that stuff is now moving like toward and across my Black Moon Lilith placement. And so it's always going to be like showing up for me as like a little bit of a challenge. Like, who do you think you are? And who are you really? Like when the cards all fall, who are you at the end of the day? And so always like trying to come back to myself, like, okay, if I come back into my heart, like who do I choose to be now, like in this moment? And I'm not going to try to like shove like any part of me under a rug and like hide it. But I also am like, okay, what's the appropriate expression for this to be like be able to let it out and still feel the feelings and at the same time not feel like I want to burn everything down because I've definitely felt that. And some of that might just be like midlife and like going through the things that we're going through and like health things and all the other stuff. And it's funny because it feels like all of it has come to a head at the exact same moment for me. And so just like, oh my God, like it's too much.
Have you had your Uranus opposition yet?
I don't think so. I think I don't remember when it is. I'll have to look it up because I don't remember. I think it's like later this year, maybe November.
Okay. So I
need to look.
You're sort of close to it.
Yeah. I know that I'm getting close to it.
Yeah.
And I know that like current with transits and stuff, I've had like Uranus just moved out of my 12th house, I think. And I have like a couple of interesting transits that are happening in my second house and like some other stuff. And I've really like gone down the rabbit hole with asteroids lately. And so I've been paying attention to what's happening with those, and those have been surprisingly on point.
So like which ones? Like specific on your chart or just like in the transits?
Yeah, in my own chart. Just like watching what's happening there. I kind of like I've not really paid attention to them for a long time because there's so many. And I was like, I don't even know what some of these things are, right? But as I started like going into the research of it, I learned that I have a really interesting configuration between the 3 Greek fates and those asteroids in my chart. And I also have so I don't know if you know about the Cassandra effect. Have you heard about that?
It sounds familiar, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Cassandra was she was a really beautiful person in, I think in, this might not be correct, but in ancient Greece, she was really beautiful and Apollo really wanted to marry her. And so he like gave her the gift of foresight and then she turned him down. And so then he cursed her so that she would always know what was going to happen and no one would ever believe her. And that's such a, and I may be wrong. It might not be Apollo. It could be somebody else. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And I didn't do research for this, but it's something that has always kind of resonated with me ever since I heard it like 2 years ago. And I was like, gosh, like that just feels so true for me. And part of it, I think, was because when I learned that like my subconscious human design chart, I'm a projector. And so I've been trying to kind of work with that. Like, how does that fit into the big picture of who I am? and how I operate in the world, right? Because sometimes that insight can come, and if people aren't ready for it and I share it, they're not going to be ready for it. They're not going to listen. And so like that's a projector energy, right? So I'm kind of playing in that world, and to a degree, like I know that that's a thing. And then I looked at these asteroid placements, and Cassandra is an asteroid, and it's literally on top of my Mercury. And so it was like, oh, okay, that's why. Like that's another place that I can look to see that. But I also have like the three fates are on my ascendant, my descendant, and my midheaven.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a pretty weird, and it makes a perfect I think it's, or maybe it's my ascendant, my descendant, and something else, but it makes a trine or something. And I was like, oh man, like I can't remember it all off the top of my head. I have it written in a journal. And I was just like, dude, like that ruined me for like a week, because I was like, I had no idea that like I carried this with me everywhere. And now everything makes so much more sense. So this is why I'm like, everybody needs to like at some point dabble in astrology, because it will change the way you see yourself.
Literally. Or just like accept yourself, right? There's so many ahas where I'm like, I think my biggest one this year was, so I have a Leo moon, and it's my moon is at 8 degrees, my ascendant's at 12 degrees, and it's square to Pluto. So I've always like that. When I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so seen. I was like, it makes so much sense for my emotional experience. And so my moon is in my 12th house, but there is this part of me that like, I had a situation, I think it was 2 summers ago, where I had a friend come visit me, and I didn't realize like I also have Venus and Uranus opposite. So there's this part of me where it's like I really crave connection, but I really want freedom. And so it's also the fear for one thing, right? Where it's like when I have some, like if there's someone that's anxious or like needs my attention, then I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But then if they're avoidant, I'm like, wait, come here. So it's just really weird thing. So my friend came to visit, and I just like, my house isn't that big, and she was staying in my room, and I was in a really big emotional experience, and she was experiencing it, but there wasn't really anywhere for me to go to process on my own, because I would usually go to my room, and she was in my room. And so I was trying to just like distance myself, and it just became this really weird thing. But we didn't talk for a long time, and we like reconnected this year, and we're good, but we were talking about it. And my Saturn is actually trine my moon. And I knew it, but I just didn't really think about it. And so we were like kind of processing this together. And she was like, it's like, that's me compartmentalizing, like not wanting to open to people, or not wanting to seem weak or seem too vulnerable, right, in my emotional experience. And I was like, whoa, that makes so much sense. So then I went down the whole rabbit hole of like Saturn in my chart. And actually, Saturn is the most prominent planet in my chart. And I didn't, because I would just think, my moon, my sun, or Pluto, because that's like that configuration. But actually, Saturn like touches so much in my chart. And so I was like, well, that makes so much sense, because there is a part of me that is very rebellious, but I start with really knowing the rules. I like have to follow the rules until I'm comfortable with them. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have to follow that anymore. Right. And then I can do my own thing. But it's like,
that's why we're friends, Rochelle.
probably why I attract so many Capricorn moon people.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
and I'm like, now definitely. It makes so much sense, because although I have these really big emotions, that Saturn is like, wait, trying to like clamp down on it a little bit to not like show it. And that's what that Capricorn moon energy, right?
Absolutely.
And so anyway, it was just like my big aha of the year, or I'm like, whoa, I need to pay more attention to this, because that's like, I mean, there's just like so much that I've gone down the rabbit hole with my chart. But I started looking at the goddess asteroids.
Yeah.
I've been this big feminine like era thing. I'm trying to like tap into my Venusian sun. But that, I mean, I started the book. I have it back here. I didn't fully finish it. But so yeah, I started, it's really fascinating, right? Because it's all linked to like Venus and the moon and Ceres, Juno, Vesta, and oh my gosh, what's the other one? Pallas Athena.
I was going to say
those are like your, I don't remember which ones, but they're associated with your ascendant, descendant, ICMC. So anyway, it was really interesting. So I kind of started playing with those a little bit. But yeah, other than that, like there's so many asteroids. It's crazy. And fixed stars, because this new moon that's happening on Saturday the 16th, it's conjunct Algol, and I'm like, I don't really know that much about it, so I was kind of just like dipping into it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if you turned on all of these, like your chart would be so full of all these So it's like, which one do you pay attention to? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It
so
like
I'm just
lights
like,
up the whole circle.
exactly.
You
So I'm like,
know?
I just want to
Yeah.
keep it simple, but also I'm
Yeah.
curious.
That's really funny. I did like, I switched from, we talked about this on the podcast a couple of months ago, but I switched from using Chat GPT to using Claude just because I like the
So did I.
responses better. Yeah. There's a lot of people who've made that change.
Mm.
But in Claude, the cool thing about it is I went in and built a database of my own chart because this is
Okay.
what a first line does when they're bored.
Yeah.
And and I like built this whole thing so I can go in, I can just like punch in whatever I want to know. And I included all of the asteroids, all of the fixed stars. And so I'd be like, what is the upcoming transit of the week? And it'll tell me, and then I can ask it questions. So a couple weeks ago, I went on a trip with my husband. We went up to visit my brother who lives in Wyoming. And I was like, is this a good weekend for travel? Because I was like, I don't want to be traveling and have something go wrong or like whatever, right? And it actually ended up being perfect, and it was perfect. Like it was great. We were literally on the way when I was like, oh, I should have looked at that. So you know, like I wasn't planning my life around it, but something I was like, oh, I'm kind of curious because like my mom was also going to be there, and my mom has notoriously been like a very hard personality for me in my life. And I think it's because her chart, like if you look at hers next to mine, they're opposites, like completely opposites. And if I remember right, I think her Saturn is in Capricorn at the same place as my moon. And then my north node is like right near her sun. And so it's like, it's a really challenging dynamic, right? Because like we don't really step into our north node fully until we're way further along in life. And so when I was younger, of course I resisted it because I was like, I'm nothing like her. And now as I get older, I'm like, I'm actually kind of a lot like her. I'm like her, but like a different version of her. You know what I mean? So it's just really interesting to see that. But yeah, I built that and I went in and I've been like, that's where I've been kind of asking some questions about more of, tell me like about the legend of this one so that I can understand it more, or give me links to like resources where I can go learn more about this stuff. I know that we shouldn't use it as a search engine, and I try not to do that, but it's so comprehensive and helpful. And a lot of people have like problems with it, and they'll say like, oh, it uses a ton of resources. And that's not actually true. Like it doesn't use more resources than Netflix. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, okay, well, how much are you using it? If you're using it all the time for like all your things, and yeah, it's resource heavy. But if you're only using it for like a thing every once in a while, it's no worse than Netflix. So I don't know, like that. And that feels like we're going off on like a whole tangent there, but that all to say that like I started doing more research into these more complex layers of my chart, and every time I do it, I'm just like, son of a bitch, like it reads me to filth all the time, and I'm just like, oh my god, like it ruins my life for a week, and then I come back and I'm like, tell me something I don't know. Tell me something else. Like once a week, I'm like, I need a dose of something really heavy that'll wreck me so I can get over it. I also have Saturn heavy charts. So this is what we do for fun, right?
I know you're like giving me ideas now. I'm like, let me go plug in all this stuff into Claude. But I think that knowing, like having a foundation of astrology knowledge, like, astrology, so that if you talk to it and it spits out something just like outrageous, you would know. Right. So it's not like you're using that and it's giving you false information and you're rolling with it and telling everybody that it's true. Right. And I think that's where you have to be careful with certain things with AI. I think that you have to have a certain amount of expertise in certain areas to use it. Right.
Yeah.
So
well, it's a tool like anything else. I mean, if you're in the back of the class typing boobs on your calculator, you're not really using a calculator. And AI is the same, right? Like, okay, everybody can do that. Like, good job. Like, you're not really effectively doing anything.
It's so funny. My daughter, though, she uses Chat GPT for like everything. Like we're like just in conversation. She's like, I'm gonna check with Chat. I'm gonna talk to Chat. Chat says this. Chat says that. I'm like, oh my gosh. She broke out in hives the other day, and so she's like, well, Chat said this. I'm like, okay, like Chat's not a doctor. Like, I mean, it's good like information, I guess, but like it's not let's not use it as 100% truth.
Right.
But I mean, but it's also this generation, right? Where it's just like they use it. I mean, she uses it for projects, and I know you're not supposed to do that at school, but like you got to be careful with that because now teachers have capabilities to run it through programs to find out if you're using ChatGPT or not. So we need,
that's
and
true.
that's also, with creativity in children, where we're losing that because we're just outsourcing to everything. And so that's why, I mean, we were talking before about the school she'll be going to, and I think it be having such a art heavy program would be so good because it will bring that back up, right? That creativity, thinking outside the box. And so I don't know, I think we all should be like in some way, I mean, we're all creative, but it's like, how do we get back to that?
Yeah, how do we like connect more with like that really raw part of who we are? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that I've noticed too, is like a lot of people, instead of going through like the experience of being a human, we're like consulting with robots about the human
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Like they can't possibly know
Yeah.
what this is, right? Like,
Mhm.
okay, they can tell you like what the internet says hives are, but that's not helpful. Like you could Google that and figure that out. Like, what is your experience right now telling you? And I think that this is like such an interesting moment to observe in humanity, to see like people bumping up against this, right? And we kind of know that because, like you said, Uranus is really tied to technology, and it's tied to like new exploration and different ways of doing things and all of that. And so I'm like, wow, like what an eye-opening thing that now we're moving in this direction. And for me, I'm like, I just don't ever want to lose that humanness, the like messiness part of that, because it's really easy to want everything to be perfect, especially with social media. And I think that might be why we're seeing so much of the AI, is that people have gotten to a point now where it's easier or more convenient to just outsource it, which is true, but you pay a price for that. You're no longer like in the expression. And that's the most amazing part of the experience, is having the expression of it.
Yeah. And people feel it though. People are feeling that and they're sensing that now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I don't know. There was something I was going to say when you were talking. It's escaped me. It was something about ChatGPT and human. Oh, well, I was thinking too. Like, yeah, I think that humans like naturally don't want to like fail at things, right? There's this perfectionist piece to us, and I think that especially with chat and like all these AI things now, like you said, we're like running through our experiences with that. Like, what's the best thing to do? And it's like you're never going to know what to do. I think we have to like define or form our relationship with like failure and just be like, because I've even noticed it, like I'm a 6'3", so I have that role model piece, right? And so there is, but I was literally journaling on this the other day when I was just thinking about like authenticity and showing up and whatever. And it's like there are certain things, like I've had an up and down relationship with alcohol. I've like been on, I've talked about that before, and it's like I'll go X amount of months without it and then I'll drink. And then, but I think that when I am drinking, it's like that role model wants to be sober in a way, or I want to I think my ego attaches to like the sobriety label that I had for like a year or whatever. And it's like I know I feel better, but then I'm also in the human experience. I don't know, it's just this really weird thing. And I've noticed how I try and like not hide that part of like my life, but like I'm not as like forthcoming with it sometimes, if that makes sense. And I'm just like, I mean, if it feels good to like have a glass of wine with dinner, why do I feel weird about it? And it's my own thing, right? But it is that like authenticity. If I'm being fully like, I'm a Taurus sun, like food and wine and like that whole sensual experience like goes with it. So it's like I'm trying to like figure out like, why do I feel so weird about it? And I don't know if it's just because like the whole spiritual world is sober and it's like trying to fit into that. And so it's just this, I don't know. It's a weird thing. And I'm like navigating for myself, but I'm like, I want to be the most authentic version of myself that I can be, and like in any given situation. And so I'm just like noticing those little things where it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't change who I am. Right. But like, it's just interesting to like witness in myself.
That's really cool.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me think about it too, because like I spent a lot of my 20s or my whole life actually being this like pure good girl, can't swear, can't drink, can't do this, can't do that, because I learned from observing other people. And now my 30s, I call it my new 20s because my 20s were like kind of robbed of me. So I'm now in my party era. I'm now in like discovering and finding that balance of like drinking, but also like being responsible, but also like being authentic. And yeah, girl, party it up. You're fine. You are totally fine.
Yeah.
You could still be witchy and have a drinky
I
drink.
know, right? Well, and that's like, but my body too, like if I have more than, let's say, like two, my body feels it so much the
Yeah.
next day. So I think
Yeah.
that's also
Yeah.
where I'm battling is like, I know my body, I know my limits. And when I push
Yeah.
past it, I don't like that feeling anymore. Like it's not even
Yeah.
worth it to me. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm just like trying to figure that out of like what that looks like. But yeah, and then I think about it too. I'm just like, it's all fake. Who cares?
Who
Yeah.
Like
cares?
literally
Yeah.
have to give myself
Yeah.
that talk. I'm like, it really doesn't matter in the big scheme of
Mm-mm.
things. Like, and I
Yeah.
don't know, like Sheena, if it's just like coming into my 40s, I'm like, who's like validation am I looking for? If it's not
Oh
mine, then
yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, why do I
Yeah.
care?
Yeah.
Well,
No, I think it is.
yeah, the social media aspect of it too, or like the online community, or
Mm,
I'm a big YouTube fan. Like I watch so many YouTube videos and like I'm really diving into the witchy side of it. But
mm,
yeah, it's like, oh, I have to do these things and fit into this box to be like this. And no, own yourself and who you are,
yeah,
and people who are meant for you will come to you. And
100%.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that balance is hard, or the outside pressures are hard.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I've been thinking a lot too about like the witch wound and just like being a healer in the space. And I think
Mhm.
all of us as healers, like that witch, like I was thinking about it. I think I like wrote a blog about it or I talked about it on a podcast or whatever, but like I don't know the exact number of witches that were like burned at the stake during the trials, but it was something outrageous, like 30,000 witches, which is probably equivalent to like millions now, right? If you think about it.
Mhm.
And even that, like, let's say it was 30,000, like, that's so many women, like, or
Yeah.
in men, it wasn't just women. But so
Mhm.
anyway, like, and it was in the 16 something. So that's still within 7 generations, right?
Yeah.
Of us. So it's like, I feel like the feminine is so used to being suppressed and people pleasing and being the good girl and keeping your mouth shut and just like going along and and then we have that added like witch wound as like a healer or a spiritual or whatever in the space, and so it
Mhm.
just feels like so much pressure to like that we're trying to like claw our way out of, because then what's on
Yeah.
the other side of that, right? Like when you're self-expressed and you're authentic, people tend to like kind of like whatever, and you're losing connection, you're being rejected from people. So it's just this very
Right.
big like, so it's like I get it, and also I just I don't know. It's just a interesting thing to watch, and I think, I mean, so many people I think are going through it. And I don't know if it's just like the age or the astrology, or there's something is
The
happening
current
collectively.
climate
Yeah, for sure.
where it's like we're going back in time and we have to,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
it's rough. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, something I was thinking about as you were explaining that, Rochelle, is like I've had my own dance with this, but instead of it being something where it's like alcohol or like something like that, it's more like me being in the space of like not allowing an authentic expression. This is something that I've wrestled with for a good portion of like my adult life, because I've always tried so hard to like fit into like whatever was needed for the moment. And I don't know if that's like a shadow of a fifth line, or like I don't, it could come from a million places. It also comes from like being the oldest daughter and like going through trauma and having a really shitty childhood, and then coming to this point where now I'm like a grown ass adult and I have to figure out how to express emotions, right? And
Mhm.
so I do this dance that's similar to what you described, where it's like, okay, well, like I don't really feel like expressing that right now. I don't want to be in the emotion right now. And so I'll put my nose down and grind my way through it, because Capricorn moon, that's what we do. Like I work to get through things. And then on the other side of it, I'm like, okay, like wipe the sweat off your brow. You're good now. And then I still am feeling the emotion. And so I'm like, okay, well, what did I just do to myself? And now like I have the same conversation where I'm like, I feel like shit. Like I didn't accomplish anything. And so like, how do I allow myself to be in the emotional experience? How do I allow myself to express that and really feel it and be present and let it wash over you and pass, and then be like, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. Now it's over. Like I feel fine. And that's usually how it goes. Like on last week when I had that day that was really shitty, I was just like in the emotion, in the experience of it. And then immediately after I was like, I'm fine. It's not a big deal. Like I let it pass me and now I'm okay. But but it feels like a very similar dance. And I'm definitely not like comparing and saying that they're the same, but I feel that expression and that authenticity piece, the way that you described it, feels very much the same in this version of like what I'm going through too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I don't know, it's strange. I haven't really been super emotional this year, and I usually am pretty emotional. And I haven't been dating at all, and that's usually, we all I think have a place that triggers us more than others, and I like haven't even been touching it this year. So that's something in that arena of my life that I've always struggled with my emotions more than other places. Like I'm always emotional to a certain extent, but that's where like my chaotic big emotions, where you're kind of like that Saturn comes in, it's like shut it down, don't feel it now, like let's just get through it, we got stuff to do, like whatever it is. That's where like that sort of comes in. But and another thing to your point, like I think that like being an adult, and like we like, yes, we may be adults, we may be in our 40s or 30s or like whatever, but we're still just like that child. We are that like 15-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever age, that's like, it's like in this adult suit. We're like, how are we lifing?
We're all just
I've literally been saying that this year. I'm like, I'm not healing my inner child, I'm embracing my inner child, because I'm just in an adult body. Like I'm going to get my stuffed animals, I'm getting my beanie babies, I'm getting the things that like bring me comfort. And if I'm a 34-year-old woman with a stuffed animal, don't worry about
it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Does not concern you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, it's
so true.
Yeah. And you hear so many people say that, whether they're 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, they're like, I still feel like I'm like 20, or I still feel like I'm whatever, right? Because it's just like your spirit, your soul, or whatever it is, doesn't age like the body does. And it is a weird thing, right? When you're in this like human body and things start like feeling different, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, for sure.
But
that's crazy. It's a good call out though. Like I've definitely noticed that too. And some of it is like the health stuff that's been coming up. So like earlier this year I had like a little bit of a health scare where it involved my heart, and I was like, oh, like now I'm like hyper aware of what that's doing. And I've never ever paid attention to it, other than like when I would have like anxiety or have like a panic attack. And then I'm like, oh, now I'm aware of it. Right. But now I'm like, I feel it all the time. I'm like, is that okay? Like, is that what it's supposed to be doing? Is it normal? It's totally normal. Like I know everything's fine because I've gone and seen like a cardiologist and everything's good. But it's one of those things that now I can't shake it. And now I feel it all the time. I'm just like this thing that I'm wearing, that I walk around in every day, like it has an expiration date.
Yeah.
And like your soul doesn't. And so I'm like, oh, that's a weird thing to think about and sit with.
Yeah. The heart's it's an interesting one. I've had a heart thing since I was like 18, and I only went to the doctor for it, I think like 2019, because it had like gotten really bad. And I remember like, I wore the thing for a couple weeks and I went to the cardiologist. I'm here thinking I'm dying. This is so bad. And he was
that's
like,
real.
Yeah. I mean, like there is an underlying issue, but he's like, no, he's like, it's normal. Like people have it way worse than you do. And he's like, just keep an eye on it. If it gets worse, we'll get on medication, like whatever. Right. And I'm like, I'm very much like, I don't ever want the diagnosis, because I do believe in like self-healing. I do believe in energy. I do believe in frequency and all this stuff like that. But it started acting up more recently, which is part of like, but it is like you said, when it's your heart, it's like your whole focus and center of attention is on what it's doing. I mean, this is the thing that's sustaining your life, right? So like sometimes I just sit at night and I'm like, I am strong. I visualize my heart like being really strong and like all that kind of stuff like that. But it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy because like just hearing like a doctor, is kind of like, no, this is within normal range of like what you have kind of thing, where it's like nothing to be concerned about. And I'm like, oh, so then when things happen, then I'm just like, I have to remind myself of that. I'm like, okay, it might feel like the world's stopping, but it's not. Like this is actually okay, I guess. I don't know. But
that's how mine was too. It was like, I don't know. I definitely freaked myself out pretty bad about it. And like the whole time my husband was like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
He was like, you've overcome like every hard thing that you've ever done. You're going to be fine with this too. And whatever it is, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I'm so lucky to like have somebody that's willing to like sit in that scary stuff with me. And I was like, I think you're right, but I just need to feel this right now.
Yeah.
Like I need to be scared for a minute, and then I'm going to be okay. Cause that's what I do. But yeah, it's just weird, you know, like when you start to become aware of those things, or like as you get older and you wake up and you're like, oh, I slept wrong and now I can't look left. Right. Like, like, what is that all about?
Literally.
Seems kind of rude. Like, doesn't really make sense to me that like I can't sleep correctly. Like, how do you fail at sleeping?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
agree with you too. That kind of brings me back to what you were saying earlier about the failure thing. Like, I think that's conditioned.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a conditioned thing. And that's, you know, coming a little bit full circle, like where we started, that we do have like so much conditioning in this world and so much that it's like put on us that we're supposed to live into. Like, who made up that rule? And now, like, now that, see, when you turn 40, I don't know if that's what it is or if it's like something else that happens astrologically, but like it's something at that point that you're just like, no, fuck that idea. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to live up to somebody else's expectation. Maybe it's the Saturn. I'm like, no, I've lived those rules my whole life. So there's Florence and the Machine just let out like a new album last year. So good. And there's a line in one of her songs. I'm like, that's my mantra for the year. And she says, I no longer try to be worthy. I no longer try to be good. It didn't keep me safe the way you told me that it would. And I'm just like, yep, that's my mantra this year. I'm just going to like be weird. And like people will either get on and ride this train and go with me where I'm going, or they will watch the train pass them by, and I'm okay with either choice. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah. I'm in like North Texas, and so it's, you know, a pretty conservative state. And so like talking about astrology and things like that, like sometimes people is just like, maybe it's my own like weird thing about it. But yeah, some point this year, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fully own that part of me. And so I've been having more and more conversations with like the most random people. Like there's one like really successful businessman that like I talk to like often, he comes in to work and stuff like that. And he's like so into it. It's so he was like so ex-military. Yeah, like pulled his chart and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm kind of afraid to see what you have to say about me, right? But like it's just like random people like that. Like there's one that like, I don't know, like athletes and just like different people. And I think that it is that like energy of owning it and being confident in it and just being like, I'm an astrologer, this is what I do. And then being open to having those conversations, or even around like health or food and, you know, stuff like that. And so yeah, I think it's just like owning that, right? And like being confident and being authentic in that space, right? It really does make a difference to how people receive you. Because if I'm like, oh, I'm an astrologer, it's kind of weird, whatever. That's how people are going to respond to me.
That's so true. I love that. I started doing that when I started this new job. I went into it and I was like, I sat in the parking lot and had a conversation with myself. I'm like, of course, listening to like my like hype playlist. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be awesome. Like I'm going to go in. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to go in and be myself. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. And I really wanted this job, right? Like I was just like, oh no, like I have to go in and just be that. Like that has never been enough for anybody. And so like that was what I was wrestling with going into this interview, right? And so I went in, and the girl that's now my manager, she was like so about it. And I was like, oh, this is actually great. Like now I can just be my weird little self, and I don't have to like try to pretend to be professional and have my life together, because I don't. But I mean, I do better than I have before, but compared to myself, it's the only thing I can do for success, right? But it's just funny. Like nobody I have to keep reminding myself of that.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's, you know, like, I don't know what you said, like it's never been good enough for people. And that's like, I don't know. Yeah. I think that's so many of us like feel that way. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot of our
it's so real
childhood. And it's like, if I am myself, then people are going to leave, or I'm going to be rejected or whatever. But then it's like, I don't know. I had at the end of last year, I think I had an experience where, especially like with my emotions, and this is something that I've worked through, but like more specifically in dating, I always feel like when I show my emotions, they leave. That's kind of like been my narrative of my life. When I'm emotional, people leave me. That's kind of been the thing. And I had a situation with somebody, it was like a friendship, and I set a boundary because you know, a lot of us learn in childhood, don't set boundaries because you're going to lose people. And I set a boundary with this person, and sure enough, she walked away. And I was like, it like hurt because that was my narrative, like being played out. But then I have to like remind myself, like, the right people won't leave, you know, and it's okay to let people go. And I do think that with everything going on with the astrology, with like, you know, I do think we're all in this energetic like upgrade, or we're being allowed to choose which timeline we're on right now. I think, like, I was listening to Pam Gregory, and she was talking about the new earth, but she was like, literally, this new moon in Taurus is the new earth. Like, all aspects of this new moon are housing this energy. And so I also heard like Dolores Cannon talk about it, right? But it's like, it's happening, and the split is happening. So people are going this way, or people, and it's not like going to be a dramatic rift. It's internal. It's all internal, right? And so it's just interesting to, you know, then just in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this person, there's no right or wrong, but this person isn't coming with me in whatever way I'm going, you know, and it's okay, and the right people will come in. But it is like, you know, when you have those narratives, you have those beliefs, it's hard to like, especially when stuff like that happens, right? Or you're walking into an interview, and you're like, okay, just be yourself. But then you have all this stuff like, oh, well, when yourself, people like don't like you or whatever. It's really hard to like grapple with. But then you have those moments like that, right? Where she was like, you know, she's like all for it. And you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, I can be myself, you know? And so it's about getting around the right people, you know? And for me, it's like social media online has been so beautiful, because I've met like people like you guys, and, you know, I've met like so many people that are my people that I know like get me, and I can totally be myself. They're online though. Right. So like I have to find people like in real life that are like that. And I have not, where I'm at, haven't found that yet, but I'm like, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, but
yeah, for sure. Sure. Yeah, it's tricky. And it's funny like that you were sharing that you've like more owned that space. Like that's the thing. People are like, you know, like, what's your fun fact about yourself? Like, honestly, if somebody asked me for another fun fact, I'm gonna puke. But it's always like, oh, like, how do we get to know you? And I always tell them, I'm like, astrology and energy are my first language. Like, that's where I live. Like, that's how I see the world. It's the filter that I use to be able to make sense of things. And so like, and I always leave the door open. Like, I'll tell people like, I really love that stuff. It's my favorite thing to talk about and explore and understand. And like, if you ever want to know about it, if you're curious about it, like, I'm always open to that conversation. And then I just leave it. And then eventually, like, if people hear you talk about it enough, they'll be like curious, that they're like, oh, what is that about? Right. And then you can go into that conversation. You can kind of tell like when you're losing somebody in that conversation. And so like, it's just about like making sure that you don't like shove them off the deep end with all this information, and just be like, oh yeah, well, there's like, you know, a handful of things that I can see. And then if they're curious, they'll keep asking questions and come back to it. So I've had that experience a couple of times where I've seen it and I'm like, oh, like, you have like this really crazy placement, you know, or somebody thought that they were Libra rising and they're not. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I can tell you from what I know of you, you're definitely not Libra rising. And this happened to one of the people I'm friends with. And she was like, well, what is it? I was like, you're Scorpio rising. And she was like, oh, I hate that. I was like, I think that's awesome. Like, that's the coolest thing about your whole chart, is that you have Scorpio rising. She was like, I don't even know what that means. And I was like, then why do you hate it? Like, that's so silly.
Because everybody hates on Scorpios. Scorpios and Gemini and Aquarius. We'll throw Aquarius in the two.
But
everybody
they're my
hates
favorite. They're the best.
I know. I mean, you know, my son's a Scorpio rising, and it's so funny because he's so heavy. He's Cancer sun, but he's got a lot of Gemini in there, and then he's got this Scorpio rising, and he's undefined solar plexus. But yeah, he had like a teacher conference today at school, and we were walking out, and the teacher like stopped us, and she like gave him a hug, and she was like, "You are like the kindest, like sweetest kid." She's like, don't ever lose that. She's like, if you learned anything from like this year, like keep that heart, because it's so beautiful. And I was like getting all like emotional. I'm like, yes. But then also he's got the Scorpio side at home. He's an asshole. He'll throw things, and again, he's got a temper, right? He does have a temper.
Sure.
And so, and that's part of it. But yeah, I don't know. That to me is like, when I see my son, I'm like, you are such a Scorpio. It's like, I see it so strongly, but you know, especially with the Taurus, there's an intensity there.
Yeah. That, like, well, it's polar opposites, right? Like, there's always going to be some intensity with that.
For sure.
I mean, lessons. Both of my kids are both like Scorpio rising as
Oh
well.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they ended up exactly the same. Like it's really funny, but it's like a powerful lesson constantly. Then I'm like, oh God, like they're definitely cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. Cause I'm like, that's a really intense rising. And then there's I found out the other day that there's a person I've been friends with for like months at work. No idea, but she's totally a Scorpio. And I was like, I freaking knew it. I knew it. Like I knew there was something. Like she's got that intensity and also like, you know, they can be really stubborn and also there's like a really toxic side of that too, that like you think you're great and you think you've got it all figured out and you're so smart and like, oh, you're so resilient and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, are you actually? Because like your life will show you whether you are or not. You know what I mean? And so like you can't just, and also you can't blanket statement anybody.
No.
With like
it's
one
all
thing. Like
so
I need to
unique.
see the whole chart.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Show me the whole dynamic. Like I want to see all the pieces. What are we playing with? Like this is a game of chess and I need to know where all the pawns are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah.
That's so fun. Well, okay. So do you have any thoughts about like what we'll continue to see for the rest of the year? I know we've like side quested and talked about real life stuff, but that's what this is, right?
That's the point.
That's
right?
what the podcast is all about, is like coming in and like, let's talk about real life and go through like what is actually happening and the experience of it. But yeah, like what do you think the rest of the year is going to be like?
I mean, so, you know, technically after like the second half of May, this new moon, and then part of June, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more opportunistic. Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, I think there's just gonna be more opportunities, like especially the 14th to like the 20 something of this month, like tomorrow. Yeah. The 14th is tomorrow. Right. So we have, oh my gosh, what I just did my whole like transit thing. Oh, it's the Kazemi. The Mercury sign Kazemi, and then we have the new moon, and then Mercury moves into Gemini, and then it conjuncts Uranus, and then the sun moves into Gemini, and then it conjuncts Uranus. So we just have this kind of like packed week. And of course, Uranus, like disruption, whatever, it could go both ways. Obviously, possibilities, potentials, it's all there. But I do feel really excited for it, like sudden insights, truth, downloads. Like I just feel like our mind is going to be like on it, right? For this, especially with this new moon, like planting seeds. Like, what are you? I don't know if I'm just like hyped up because I'm like, I'm literally turning 40, and then the next day we have this new moon. I'm like, what am I like manifesting for the next 6 months? But I just think it's a really beautiful time to really plant those seeds, and then kind of like riding through that in June. July is kind of like April 2.0. So I don't know what that's going to feel like. Like for me personally, April was cool. Like I didn't really feel like any dramatic. I mean, I'm going through my own internal work of like we were talking about like authenticity and what that means and my patterns and things like that. So that's, you know, happening just for myself, but I didn't feel like super like big emotions. Although of course, globally we had a lot going on, but with Mars moving into Taurus, kind of like maybe the tension might lessen a little bit, right? Because Taurus is very grounded. It's very sensual. It's very earthy. It wants more peace, and it's ruled by Venus, right? So it wants more like peace, balance, all that stuff. So maybe things will cool down a little bit with that. But then we have that Mercury retrograde in Cancer, and I'm kind of like bracing for that one. The Mercury retrograde and water signs are just like doing me in. I'm like, I see my patterns. Why do we have to keep going through it? But it's like, it's to learn, right? And for me, that's 12th house. So I feel like that's more going to be about surrender. I might not really see it while I'm in it. What I'm really nervous for is Mercury going retrograde in Scorpio again at the end of this year. That's the one that I feel like, because that one rocked my world like literally I have not felt that intensely in a long time. And I think like we recorded this right after that.
We did.
So I was like so fresh and raw from that. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I think July obviously is like the big one. And so, yeah, I think just that's when this little triangle is going to be like the tightest configuration that it's been, right? Like we had some direct stuff happening April that really activated it, but we're kind of like doing that again. But also, I think, I don't know if it'll be in July, but the nodes are switching, and as a Leo rising, I'm kind of excited for that. Jupiter is going to be in Leo. So we do have some shifts that are happening that I think will support us and maybe not ground us, because it's a lot of like air and fire energy. So it's going to be like fast. So that's why it's like right now, I feel like in Taurus, I mean, we're only a few days left of Taurus season, but like really anchoring in and grounding and working on that. And if you're listening to this now, like I feel like we said it in 2025, but as we were doing the forecast, like start grounding in, start your practices, inspire yourself. Like I know sometimes it's, sometimes I wake up and my days look like so similar, right? But then I'm like, the reason why I journal and meditate and inspire myself is so that I can keep my mindset in a certain way, and it's like that's what works for me.
Sure.
So yeah, and I know that's what I think I'm looking forward to the most is July, right? Because it's like even in the intensity, there's so much potential for change within that.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. I did want to like pivot for one moment and then I want to know what your thoughts are for the rest of the year. But that last full moon, and I kept thinking about you and I kept wanting to reach out and I didn't, and I should have, but the last full moon we had a yacht and I was like, I want to know I was curious to see what your perspective on that was. Cause I was like talking about it a little bit, but I'm not like, I know you are like, I feel like you're the odd master.
It's because I have such a painful one that I'm like, I look for it. I have our mutual friend, Rachel. She'll be like, I don't know how you see them. I'm like, it's literally the first thing I look for. I'm like, I need to know, like it's my gauge of like, how fucked up is your life? Do you have a yacht? And like all my favorite people do. So I'm just like, oh, it's just a thing, right? Like it's whatever. But I feel like people who have it like just operate so differently in the world. Right. And you can almost feel it. Like there's like an intensity that they carry. And I am a very intense person. Like I know this about myself. I also have like human design gates that point to that and some other stuff. But like, I just know I'm a big energy. I'm a lot to like have in your space. And I know like not everybody can manage that very well. So like, it's just that awareness piece, but I didn't particularly feel anything with that one. It was just really peaceful for me.
Yeah. Interesting. And it was Scorpio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have some stuff in Scorpio and it's opposite my North node. So there was like, that's partially what I think that self-doubt has been like wrestling in that space and being like, oh, maybe I'm not where I think I am. Right. Like, and this whole year so far has just been constantly recalibrating that. Like, maybe I'm not where I think I am. Maybe this is not what I think it is. And I'm trying really hard. Surrender is so hard for me. And I'm trying to just stay in that space of like, okay, like I don't need to have control of it. And I do genuinely believe that. And I think my actions are starting to kind of mirror that belief. But it's really hard to break old habits. And like, that's some deep conditioning work, right? Yeah. Like wanting to have control of things comes from like religion. It comes from growing up in our society in the Western world. It comes from like the, path that was handed to us by like the older generations to say like, this is the things you do to have a successful life. And then we try to do all those things and we end up at the end. And I'm like, what the hell was it all for? Like, I'm not successful, but what does that mean? Right. And so now I feel like some of it is like just being older, but some of it is also like being in this space of having all these opposite things happening in my chart that I'm like seesawing back and forth on everything I think I know. It's just like a great unraveling that's happening. And watching it happen and being aware that it's happening is a very, very weird space to be.
Yeah.
So that's my long-winded answer to how that was for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the rest of the year?
I share what you were saying about July. I'm actually really excited to see what that brings for us. I'm also very excited because it means Jupiter's moving into my second house and I can't wait to see what that's going to bring. I've had some really interesting part of fortune transits happening this like last 6 months. And so some of the things that I've bumped up against have been really fascinating because that's like really like fated interactions and people coming into your life that you're like, oh, like I'm supposed to learn something from this. And that I knew that was a thing. It did not show up how I expected it to in the slightest. It has like absolutely rocked me. And that's part of what's been so hard too, is like these people who have bounced in and out of my life over the last few months and the impact that they've left on me. And that I'm still trying to recover from some of those that I'm just like, holy shit, like some of them really messed me up. And so like, that's a factor in this as well. And I think people are probably going to, have that experience from time to time in life. But I think this year has like a really unique combination of things happening, and it's here with purpose. Like it's here to help us choose like which of those paths. I also love what Pam Gregory has said about choosing which world you want to live in.
Yeah.
And like, that's a big part of why I keep saying, okay, like how can I extend compassion? How can I try to be understanding? How do I give grace? Like maybe when it doesn't seem like it's fair to give somebody grace, like grace is never fair.
Mm-hmm.
So being in that position all the time and just being like, okay, how do I continue to operate from that space? Because that's the world I want to be. I don't want to be in the world where like we're all worried about, what's happening out there. Like honestly, most of it is bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Most of it is a misdirection so that you're not paying attention to what's going on. And I have
Saturn,
felt that
Neptune,
way for a
smoke
very
and
long
mirrors.
time. Oh yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also Uranus, like moving where it is, it's all disillusion too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a shattering of the mirror. And now we see the man behind the curtain and we don't like it because we've been fed this lie for so many years that now we're being, the wizard is being revealed, and we don't like that because it disrupts the structure, but it's necessary. We need that disruption. And that is what I kind of see like more of this year being. It's going to be more of like shaking that foundation. It's going to be more of like revealing the leadership that we have that is not in alignment. We're just going to continue to see that. And we talked about that in the first episode, but I think even more so now, I feel very strongly about that. I also think that October, November, December, that 3-month period is going to be real spicy. Yeah. Because we're bumping up against all of this stuff now, and we're getting it like a little spoonful at a time. But that last 3 months at the end of the year, right before we launch into 2027, somebody's bringing a big bucket of it, and we're going to experience some very drastic shifts. And I don't know on a global scale what that's going to look like, but I think individually it's sink or swim time. Right. And like, this is Capricorn moon, like coming in strong. Like I'm like tough loving everybody right now because I'm just like, pick your side, right? Choose what world you're going to live in, because we have to make it. And it's already being made by the choices we make every single day. And it's been being made by the choices we make every single day for a long time. And now we're in that moment where we get to choose, what are we going to do? And I cannot express enough how important it is for you to choose from your heart. That's what this year's all about. Yeah. It's all about coming into that and knowing that well enough that we can make those kinds of choices, because a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that came through too, as you were talking, and it's, like you said, like Pam Gregory's like, choose which world. And it's not just like, I feel like it's so important to remember, like, it's not just one choice. It's every day we have to choose, right? Whether it's your meditation practice or whatever, even like when you talk about like energy healing, and it's, you might like sit there and pray or like meditate for like 3 days. And then you're like, oh, I still feel the same. Right. And then you like throw it out the window. It's consistency. Like we have to continue to show up day after day, even when we think it's not working. For mindset, like you said, choosing from your heart, that's not always easy, right? Like, no, we may all be well-intentioned, but we all are human. We have our moments, but it's like taking that pause, be like, okay, what's actually true for me right now? Like, instead of just being in reaction mode and consistently doing that. I think that's like so important to remember, especially as like, so many people I think are their bodies are tired, they're sick, like, so it's like just showing up for yourself every single day, even when it doesn't feel like you're moving the needle, like you are, right? Like you're creating a new reality. And I think that, Jana Romer, if you're familiar with her, she was talking on a new moon call once, but she was like, what we think of like quantum leaps is actually like these micro moments. Yeah. So it's in the like micro moments that we are, it's just kind of like we talk, when you look at somebody in social media, and you're like, oh my God, they had massive success overnight, but we didn't see the 10 years it took them to get there. Exactly. And so it is like consistency. I don't know. That's just like a big one for me right now. I'm like, I feel the frustration of like not moving the needle, but I'm like, just keep doing it. Don't throw it out the window. Just keep doing it. Cause this works. It's literally the simple things that aren't easy, but they're simple, but we don't follow through with them because we don't see immediate results.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
That's
my son was
real.
just watching a thing on YouTube, right? And it was like, brush your teeth in 30 seconds. I'm like, okay. And like anything that promises like quick results, like brush your teeth, what's the extra 90 seconds matter?
Yeah.
Just do the
Yeah.
extra 90
What else
seconds
are
or
you gonna
whatever.
do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But we're
That's
just
such a
so
good
like the quick
analogy.
fixes.
Well, I mean, I think we're really in this unique period of time as humanity that like we've been engaged with social media long enough. You know, it came out in like what 2011. So we have like 15 years that we've been in this space of social media. And not only do we have like these really weird like parasocial relationships with people we've never met or never connected with and never had a conversation with, but we're also like in a parasocial relationship with their highlight reel. It's not even the real person. Like you don't know them, you
Yeah.
know? And so we have that. And then we also have these like really short content things, right? Like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and it pops through and it's like, it's just, they're farming your attention. And now we've reached a point where everybody's attention span is so short. We can't even think about something for ourselves. We're outsourcing the thoughts to AI,
Mm.
to Gemini or to Gemini or Claude or like
Yeah.
whoever it is
Yeah.
that you're talking to. Like we've been so conditioned by the quick fix that now we don't want to sit in the discomfort. And like
Yeah.
that's another thing that I would just encourage everybody to do. Like get comfortable with discomfort and like be in that space. It's okay. Like that's part of the experience too. It's not all sunshine and roses all the time.
Yeah.
And every house is built brick by boring brick, right? Like
Yeah.
we can't, you can't fast track that, and if you do you're going to fuck it up. So like just take a deep breath and build your house brick by brick. You don't have to get it all right now.
Mm.
Those
Yeah.
phone commercials give me the ick so bad. Like that one commercial where the guy is like asking his phone, like, what do I do this? How do I do this? Oh my gosh, you're so great. Like, thank you so much for answering my question. Like, I'm like, this, like, am I doing the downward dog right? Like, what is
Who
this?
cares? Just
I'm
do
like,
it.
this is so like that makes me want to resist like full-heartedly. And I think that's why with my YouTube content, I'm like long form all the way. And I know that's
Mm.
not the way to get like an audience, but those 30-second quick reels, they give me such a headache. And maybe I'm just getting old, but I can't do it. It hurts my eyes. I'm like, no,
I feel like we're
I'm
Well, I
not.
coming
mean,
back to that long form content though, in a lot of ways.
yeah.
And
I
like
hope so.
I've even had moments where I'm like, I just want to unfollow everyone on social media. But then I'm like, but that's also the thing, right? Like people aren't
Yeah.
wanting those like it's funny as you were talking, like my kids, like the amount of questions that they ask me that to me, I'm just like, like figure it out. Like it's
Yeah.
such a simple
Yeah.
answer, but they're so used to just outsourcing,
Yeah.
right? Like ask chat,
Yeah.
ask your phone, ask Siri. And it's like literally, and it's the simplest things that I'm just like I
Yeah.
don't know, we're just built different, you know,
Mhm.
in whatever way, you know, there's good and bad with everything,
Yeah.
right? So
Of course.
it's, you know, not like judging them by any means because, you know, I'm
Yeah.
sure I asked questions like that when I was their age, but we just like, we
Sure.
figured things out in a different way. And we didn't just have
Yeah,
things
yeah.
really accessible, but yeah, it's funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I mean, if you think about like short form content, this is always like my go-to response, but like think about short form content. How do you explain somebody's chart in 60 seconds? How much are you going to miss?
Yeah.
Like all of it, pretty much.
Yeah.
I can give you like your sun, moon, and rising and be like, it kind of means this, but it depends on a lot of other shit. Like it's not just this one
Yeah.
thing.
To
Yeah.
be continued. Here's
Right?
Yeah.
a million other reels to get to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
point.
It would
That's why
take a long
sometimes I feel
time.
the pressure when like I'm out, like if I'm just like talking to people like just randomly, right? And they're like,
Mhm.
they want to hear about their chart or something. And I pull it up and I'm like, okay, I literally have to think like, what is the most impactful thing that I can shock them with right now to hook them? Because if I'm just like, oh, your son is this, or I don't know,
Mhm.
like people just, it's like they're lost in literally even in real life, like 30 seconds a minute, they're out. And so it's like, I don't want to like drag on. It's so then I feel the pressure.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, am I even good at this? I don't know.
I think
That's
that's
the
where
worst.
Yeah.
I'm like, now that I want to like grow my little business this year, I'm almost like rebelling. I'm like, I don't want to conform. And I know
Mm.
like that's the way to do it, but I have to find my own way. And
Mhm.
this YouTuber I was watching recently, she was like, honestly, I know there's so many platforms out there, but you have to go with the one that feels good for you. If you don't want to do Instagram, if you don't want to do TikTok, and you just want to do this one platform, like do it. You might have a slower like growth, but you will find the people that you're meant to because you're being authentic on that platform instead of, So I'm like, I'm not conforming. I'm gonna just do my thing. And if it's slow growing,
Yeah.
that's fine. Like I can't. I'm gonna rebel.
Yeah. It is about the journey though. You know what I mean? And somebody once told me, they're like, one day your podcast is going to be so big that you're going to have somebody else edit it. You're going to have somebody else do this. Like, be in the moment of like, I have my hands in all of it right now. Right. Like, that's actually really cool. I get to like really control it. And then you get to a point where you have to have people do things for you. And so it's, and I'm a Taurus, midheaven, and a sixth line. Like, shit is so slow for me. It's just like, I have to go through the process, the 3-step process. Right. And so that was really frustrating in the beginning. But I'm like, you know what? On the way, I'm finding myself. I'm being more authentic. I'm showing up differently. I'm learning so many new things. And so it's like, you know what? Even if, like, I always think that worst case scenario, I'm just doing what I'm doing right now. Like, cool, I'm sharing astrology and I'm getting to talk to like amazing people on the podcast. Done. Like, what else do I need really?
Yeah, for real. That
Love
like
it.
checks all the boxes, right? You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is actually like such a cool life.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to
Even
travel. That's the only thing I'd want to add.
sure.
Travel. But other than that, everything
Okay.
else is cool.
Yeah. No, I feel that too.
Yeah.
And I've also been like trying to focus on like when things blow up, because inevitably they do, right? This experience is all kinds of imperfect. And
Mm,
when those things blow up, I always try to remember like I'm grateful for my problems. I'm
yeah.
grateful for my problems because I know how to fix them.
Mm,
And I'm grateful. Like if you went into a room with like 30 other people and you all put like your worst problems in a jar, I bet you would pull them out and be like, I don't want this one.
yeah.
Like give me mine back, because you're equipped to handle those
Mhm. Mhm.
and or at least to like figure it out. So
Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I just think that that's important to remember too, like to always so to like put a bow on all of this, I think it's like the whole year is about figuring all of that stuff out.
Mm,
What does that look like for you? And how do we continue to go from that place and take it slow, go the long way, like figure those things out. That's what free will is all about, is like you can go the
mhm.
long route if you want to.
Yeah.
And it's usually a better route. So, like take your time, do things from your heart, operate from who you want to be, and choose in every moment.
Mm. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna have to re-listen to our forecast before this goes out and like to do the intro. See how like
Yes.
how different it is. I just feel like I know I feel like our experiences so far this year is really bringing
Mhm.
us to this place of just like raw, like I don't know, just like you said, like kind of like settling and landing in our own personal experiences. And yeah, I mean, kind of like what we started with, is like this bridge year to like whatever is next. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I
I
love
almost feel
that.
like it's confronted us in a way that we've just had to let go of the reins,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like,
100%.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what the fire
we're
horse
definitely.
is,
here.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
It's
You
just
can't hold
barreling
it.
through town.
Yeah.
You can't stop
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just got to hold on and hope for the
Yeah.
best.
Right. Exactly. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Rochelle, for being with us again. It's
Mhm.
always so much fun to have you here, and I love our conversations. And we'll definitely have you back, I'm sure, for another one.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I've loved it.
Yeah. All right. On that note, you guys know where to find all of the details. We'll put how you can contact Rochelle or find her content always in the show notes. If you have questions or you really like this episode, feel free to rate it and share it with people who might also enjoy it. And if you didn't like this episode, leave us a comment and let us know why. And on that note, have a great week, and we'll check in with you guys again on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.